Have you ever had a stable class hierarchy, everything clean, everything neat, and then your manager says, hey, can we also export this to PDF and calculate tax and generate analytics and then log everything? And suddenly you're editing every single class again and again and again. Today, I'll show you how senior developers add new behaviors without touching existing classes. This is the visitor pattern in C#, and by the end of this video, you'll understand what problem it actually solves, know when not to use it, implement it step by step in C#, and finally understand what that weird except method is doing. Let's level up. This video is part of my series Design Patterns Code Like a Senior Dev. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, especially strategy or straight pattern, go check them out after this video. Each pattern builds your architectural thinking muscle. Let's say we are building a simple document system. We have text, images, and table. Pretty simple. Now the business says export to PDF, export to HTML, calculate document statistics, and logging. Now, where do we put this logic? Option 1 is to add methods inside each class. So now text has export to PDF, export to HTML, calculate stats, and log. The image and table would have the same methods. Now, do you see the problem here? Every time we add a new operation, we must modify each and every class. This violates open-close principle and your sanity. So here's what we need to ask ourselves. What if we could add new behavior without touching the existing classes? That's exactly what a visitor does. Visitor pattern says, separate the operations from the objects they are operated on. Instead of putting behavior inside text, image, or table, we create a visitor that visits them. And here's the twist. Each element accepts a visitor. That's where the famous accept method comes from. Now let's build this step by step. Alright, let's build this from scratch. First, I'll create an interface called iDocumentElement. Now, pause for a second. Every document element must implement accept method. And inside that method, we'll pass the visitor. Now, let's create some concrete elements. I'll start with the text class that would implement iDocumentElement. So text, it implements iDocumentElement, contains content, and notice something interesting here. We are calling visitor.visit this. Now, this is important. It allows method overloading to pick the correct visit method. Now, let's create an image class. Same structure. Now, let's define the visitor interface. This contains visit that takes text and then visit that takes image. And that's the key insight. For every element type, we must define a visit method. Now let's implement a concrete visitor. Suppose we want to export everything to PDF. So do you notice how the logic to export text to PDF and image to PDF is outside the classes itself? Now let's use it. So to use it, I'll go at the top, just quickly align it. A variable elements that contains a list of iDocument elements, contains text and image. So we create a PDF visitor and we loop on these elements and run accept method on it, or that should export both of these in PDF format. It works. And that's it. Each element accepts the visitor performs the operation. And now imagine tomorrow on top of it, you need an HTML export. Do we touch text? No. Do we touch image? Also no. We just create a new visitor. I'll quickly create it. And now this visitor is HTML export visitor that would visit text and visit image. So on the similar lines, we do a var HTML visitor or export visitor equals new HTML export visitor. That is done. We can do this, plus we can do element dot accept HTML export visitor should be small. Let's run this again. Okay, so exporting text to PDF, text to HTML, image to PDF, image to HTML. This one works as well. Visitor pattern is useful when your object structure is stable but operations keep changing. Think compilers, reporting engines, document processing, payment processing audits. But here's the catch. If your element types change frequently, visitor becomes painful because every new element forces changes in all visitors. So use it when structure is stable, behavior changes often. Now you understand why adding behavior inside classes doesn't scale, how visitor separates operations from structure, what accept method actually does, when to use and when to avoid this pattern. That's senior level architectural thinking right there. This is part of Design Patterns Code Like a Senior Dev. If you are serious about leveling up beyond tutorials into architectural thinking, watch the full series. Next episodes, well, there are no next episodes. This is the last pattern that I'm gonna cover. I'll be back with something else, something exciting. Till then, take care and code like a senior dev.